Jaspreet Singh says, the new Trump IRA could help gig workers retire. But look at this gas pump first. If you drive for Uber, DoorDash, Amazon Flex, Viho, or any delivery app, this is the real retirement test. Not Washington, not Wall Street, not a government website. This pump, this insurance bill, this car repair, this rent payment. A few hours ago, Minority Mindset broke down the new Fed era, Kevin Walsh, Trump IRA, and the next major decision window for interest rates. Jaspreet explained the opportunity, but broken economy is looking at the street-level risk, because a retirement account does not create retirement security if the worker has no surplus left to invest. Trump IRA does not literally delete the 401k. It opens a new IRA pathway for workers who do not have employer retirement plans. That means gig workers, drivers, contractors, self-employed workers, part-time workers, small business workers. On paper, that sounds helpful, and for some people, it may be helpful. A worker without a 401k may get a clearer path to retirement investing. A low-income saver may qualify for a federal savers match. A contractor may get a portable account. A gig worker may finally have a simple place to start. Access matters. Low fees matter. Portability matters. But here is the question nobody wants to ask. Why now? Why? At the exact moment America is drowning in debt, inflation is still painful, and the new Fed chair is trapped between cutting rates and defending the dollar. Is the system suddenly opening a new retirement gate for the workers closest to the pavement? That is the real story. Because the gig worker is the perfect symbol of the broken economy. You have income, but not security. You have flexibility, but not protection. You have a car, but the car is both your tool and your liability. You have work, but no guarantee. Every mile costs money. Every delivery burns gas. Every tire loses value. Every repair hits hard. Every insurance renewal matters. Every slow week hurts. Every app deactivation feels like a job loss. Every interest rate decision affects the car loan. So when Washington says, here is a retirement account, the first question is not whether the account is good. The first question is, what money are you supposed to put into it? Because if the system takes your cash flow before you can invest, then a retirement account is not freedom. It is an empty gate. That is the TrumpIRA trap. Not that the account itself is automatically bad, but that financial access without financial surplus can become another way to blame the worker. They say, we gave you the account, we gave you the match, we gave you the portal, we gave you the opportunity. But if gas, insurance, rent, debt, taxes, and repairs take the money first, then what exactly did the worker receive? Access to a system they cannot afford to use. Now connect this to Kevin Walsh. Walsh is stepping into the most dangerous financial seat in America. If he cuts rates too aggressively, inflation can come back harder. If he keeps rates high, debt pressure continues. If he protects the dollar, borrowers suffer. If he protects markets, savers may get diluted. If he fights inflation, the economy can slow. If he supports the economy, the dollar can weaken. That is the Fed trap, and gig workers sit at the bottom of that trap because they do not experience Fed policy as theory. They experience it through gas prices, car loans, credit card rates, insurance bills, rent, food, abonnement, vehicle repairs. When rates stay high, debt gets expensive. When inflation stays high, survival gets expensive. When oil rises, work itself gets expensive. That is why the gig worker is the first to feel the squeeze. A Wall Street investor sees a chart. A driver sees the pump. A Fed official sees inflation data. A delivery worker sees the receipt. A politician sees retirement access. A contractor sees no surplus. That is the gap. Now let's talk about TrumpIRA. Clearly, the idea is aimed at workers who do not have employer-sponsored retirement plans. That includes many workers outside the traditional W-2 benefits system, gig workers, self-employed workers, low-income workers, small business employees, contractors. The stated goal is to give them access to simple, portable, low-cost retirement savings options. That sounds good, but a retirement system has two parts: the account and the cash flow. Most policy talks about the account. Broken economy talks about the cash flow. Because the account is just a container, the worker still needs money to put inside it. And in 2026, the system is attacking that money from every direction. Gas is higher, insurance is higher, food is higher, rent is higher, credit card rates are higher, car repairs are higher, healthcare is higher, taxes are still there, and for many gig workers, income is unstable. So the real retirement crisis is not only that people lack accounts. The real crisis is that people lack surplus. If the worker has no surplus, the account stays empty. If the worker contributes, but then pulls money out during an emergency, compounding is interrupted. If the worker invests during market stress and panics later, the system wins again. If the worker treats retirement as an emergency fund, the long-term plan breaks. This is why TrumpIRA must be examined carefully. The design matters. Fees matter. Default funds matter. Education matters. Withdrawal rules matter. Emergency access matters. Consumer protection matters. Private sector partners matter. Marketing matters. Because a good system can help workers build wealth. A bad system can turn workers into liquidity. That is the line. Now let's talk about the bigger debt machine. America is sitting on a massive debt burden. The government needs buyers for that debt. Markets need constant flows. Retirement accounts are one of the largest pools of long-term money in the country. 401ks, IRAs, pensions, target date funds, index funds, and automatic contributions help support the financial system every single paycheck cycle. Every 2 weeks, workers get paid. A portion goes into retirement accounts. Funds buy stocks and bonds. Markets receive flows. The machine stays liquid. So when the system opens a new retirement gate for workers who were outside employer plans, we need to ask, is this purely about helping workers? Or is the financial system also looking for a new layer of small savers? The answer can be both. It can help some people, and it can also feed the system. That is what makes it complicated. This is not a cartoon villain story. This is a structure story. The structure says, cash loses value. Workers are forced to invest. Markets need flows. Government debt needs buyers. Retirement accounts become the bridge. And workers are told that if they do not participate, they are irresponsible. That is financial repression. Nobody has to force you directly. The system simply makes doing nothing too expensive. If cash loses purchasing power, you must invest. If you must invest, you must accept market risk. If you accept market risk, your future depends on the system you are trying to escape. That is the trap. Now bring this back to the pavement. Imagine a driver in San Diego. They start the day with a full tank. Before they make $1, they already have costs: gas, insurance, mileage, depreciation, maintenance, taxes, phone plan, time. Then the app gives them an offer. They accept. They drive. They wait. They deliver. They drive again. At the end of the day, the gross number may look decent, but the real profit is smaller. Now ask that driver, will you put money into TrumpIRA? Maybe they want to. Maybe they know they should. Maybe they are not financially ignorant. Maybe they are not lazy. Maybe they understand compounding. Maybe they watch Minority Mindset. But then the tire light comes on. The insurance bill renews. Gas jumps. Rent is due. A credit card minimum payment hits. And the retirement contribution disappears. That is not a mindset problem. That is a cash flow problem. This is why broken economy keeps repeating the same point. The spreadsheet can be right, and the worker can still be trapped. Jaspreet is right that people need to invest. But the street-level reality is that many workers are fighting just to create the first dollar of surplus. Without surplus, there is no investing. Without investing, there is no ownership. Without ownership, the worker remains dependent on labor, and labor alone is losing ground to inflation. That is the chain. Now look at the June 16 to 17 Fed meeting. Markets will watch for rate cuts. Politicians will watch for relief. Investors will watch for liquidity. Homeowners will watch for refinancing. But drivers will watch the pump. Renters will watch the lease. Borrowers will watch the credit card APR. Gig workers will watch whether orders are still profitable after costs. That is the real economy. If Wash cuts rates, markets may cheer. But if inflation stays hot, the savings may disappear into fuel, food, rent, and insurance. If Wash keeps rates high, the dollar may look stronger, but debt costs stay brutal. Either way, the worker pays, through prices, or through interest, through inflation, or through debt, through a weaker dollar, or through a weaker job market. That is the no-win economy. And now the same worker is being invited into a new retirement gate. Again, this may help some people, but we have to be honest. A retirement account does not solve a broken labor model. It does not create paid sick leave. It does not fix car depreciation. It does not lower gas. It does not protect against deactivation. It does not stabilize income. It does not replace employer benefits. It does not guarantee retirement. It is a tool, and tools only help if the worker has enough cash flow to use them. That is why the real question is not, is TrumpIRA good or bad? The real question is, does the gig economy produce enough stable surplus for workers to invest consistently? If the answer is no, then the retirement problem is deeper than the account. It is the entire structure of work. In the old model, one employer gave you a paycheck, benefits, and a retirement plan. In the new model, 5 apps give you tasks, risk, and uncertainty. Then the government gives you a portal and says, good luck. That is the gig economy bargain. Flexibility on paper, risk in reality. Now, some people will say, at least TrumpIRA gives workers access. That is true. Access is better than no access. But access is not enough. A ladder is only useful if people have the strength and time to climb it. If workers are exhausted, underpaid, over-leveraged, and one repair away from financial damage, then the ladder may exist while the climb remains impossible. That is the policy gap. Washington measures access. The street measures survival. So what should gig workers watch? Watch the fees. Watch the default investments. Watch the financial institutions involved. Watch whether the savers match is easy to claim. Watch whether low-income workers actually receive the benefit. Watch whether the portal educates or sells. Watch whether emergency withdrawals become common. Watch whether workers can contribute consistently. Watch whether the program becomes empowerment or another extraction channel. Also watch the Fed. Watch whether Wash cuts rates. Watch whether inflation responds. Watch oil. Watch gas. Watch credit card rates. Watch auto loan rates. Watch insurance. Watch whether app work remains profitable after costs. Because retirement is not built in a vacuum. Retirement is built from surplus. And surplus is being attacked every day. This is why this episode matters. Minority mindset. Explain the opportunity. Broken economy is showing the risk. TrumpIRA may become a useful tool. But for many workers, the real problem is not the lack of a tool. It is the lack of breathing room. A driver cannot invest what the pump already took. A contractor cannot save what rent already took. A DoorDash worker cannot compound what car repairs already erased. An Amazon Flex driver cannot retire on an empty account. That is the street-level truth. Go to the comments and tell us the truth. If you are a gig worker, Uber driver, Amazon Flex worker, DoorDash worker, contractor, self-employed worker, or part-time worker, would you use TrumpIRA? Do you trust a government-linked retirement portal? Would you rather hold cash, gold, Bitcoin, index funds, real estate, or physical tools for your business? And what is killing your surplus first? Gas, insurance, rent, debt, taxis, car repairs, slow work. Also, what do you think happens on June 16 to 17? Rate cuts, higher for longer, or another delay while the middle class keeps paying? This is broken economy. We break down the financial system behind the headlines. Subscribe for more clear analysis of finance, technology, markets, labor, and the real economy behind everyday life. Stay awake. The new Fed era has started. The new retirement gate is opening, and the workers closest to the pavement may be the first to feel what comes next.